Everyone thinks that low nitric oxide is the main reason why someone has erectile dysfunction. Yes, nitric oxide does play a massive role, but there are a wide variety of other vasodilators as well. And you have to think about the things that control nitric oxide production, breakdown, and bioavailability. So there are many systems to take into consideration to understand why vasodilation is not working and why someone is getting erectile dysfunction. And this is the thing, like if you use Cialis, like using Cialis is not a problem. Cialis is a great tool. But again, it's just a tool. It's not going to fix the root cause. If you have sympathetic dominance, you have oxidative stress, it might help, but it's not going to solve the root cause and it might not work 100%. A lot of people find that Cialis helps, but it doesn't fix them completely. So obviously, first of all, you become reliant on Cialis, but it might also just help you 50%, 60, 70%, right? You want to be 100%. You want to fix the root cause. You can always keep on using Cialis, but you still want to fix the root cause. Because the root cause isn't just going to contribute to ED, it's going to contribute to other vascular issues as well. So you want to be addressing the root cause. And the worst of all is that ED is getting significantly worse. In 2002, 2% of men under 40 had ED. A Swiss study found that 30% of men 18 to 24 had ED, and this was 20. In 2014, 6% of Canadian males between 6 and 21 reported ED. In 2016, 10 ED forum visitors were under 25. So it does seem that younger individuals, that ED is rising significantly in the younger individual. Now, a lot of people would say like, yes, it's like performance anxiety or stuff like that. But there are a wide variety of different causes that you need to be looking at. Stress, diet, gut health, inflammation, etc. And we're going to discuss different tests that you can look into as well. So here is what's some of the main reasons that's really causing ED. Low nitric oxide, the vascular response to nitric oxide. So for example, a PDE5 inhibitor inhibits PDE5, which means that the nitric oxide that you do have is going to work better. If you don't really have nitric oxide, inhibiting PDE5 is not really going to do much. Inflammation, sympathetic tone, methylation, hydrogen sulfide. And we're going to address all of those one by one. So first of all, low nitric oxide is obviously going to contribute to erectile dysfunction. Now, there's multiple ways that you can boost nitric oxide. The first way is via nitrates. So you eat nitrate-rich foods, and then bacteria is involved and enzymes involved, creating nitric oxide. That is one way how you can boost it, or you can supplement nitrates. But nitrates, like sodium nitrite supplementation, is very powerful, and it can cause low blood pressure and migraines and issues like that. Getting it from food is much better because it also comes with antioxidants. If you just supplement pure nitrates, it can actually contribute to oxidative stress and over time make the issue worse. So you want to get it from food. Then, if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty details of nitric oxide production, here is nitric oxide being produced. Arginine converted into nitric oxide, but it needs a bunch of cofactors. It's connected to the folate cycle, which requires almost every single B vitamin. And you need the folate cycle to work because the folate cycle helps to regenerate BH4. This is the biopterin salvage pathway that regenerates BH4. 4 is the cofactor needed for nitric oxide synthase to produce nitric oxide. So you need vitamins and minerals. You need the folate cycle to work for BH4 to be regenerated. Now, 4 is actually also an antioxidant. So if you have oxidative stress and inflammation, BH4 will automatically be depleted, even if you have all of the nutrients in the folate cycle is working. Now, this is what's fascinating about the nitric oxide protein. It doesn't just require BH4. It also has an FAD, which is a metabolite of vitamin B2, pH binding site, and then it has this caveolin and calmodulin binding sites. CIV inhibits eNOS, AM promotes it. So the parasympathetic nervous system and acetylcholine promotes calmodulin synthesis that helps with vasodilation, the releasing of nitric oxide. You don't really want to be messing with these two, but the point is that you need a lot of cofactors for eNOS to be working. It doesn't just help to throw in citrulline on arginine and hoping it's going to convert into nitric oxide. You need a lot of cofactors for nitric oxide to actually work. Then you have poor vascular response. This is where when you have oxidative stress or inflammation, it makes the vasculature less responsive to the nitric oxide that you do have. And if you have oxidative stress, it's also going to bind to the nitric oxide, creating a very toxic free radical called peroxynitrite. That's going to make the whole issue worse. So you really want to focus on lowering oxidative stress, or at least just being healthy so that the vasculature can respond. Now, certain polyphenols and flavonoids, like cacao flavanols, can help a lot to help bring down oxidative stress and to enhance the responsiveness of the vasculature to the nitric oxide that you have. There was a study where they supplemented people with cacao, and it massively helped to restore nitric oxide levels because nitric oxide was being spared. So the flavonols and polyphenols and antioxidants can be really helpful, but don't overdose on antioxidants. Just focus on being healthy and get what you need from food. Now, also very importantly, not everything has to come from plants. You need the vitamins and minerals to create things like glutathione, and your endogenous antioxidant enzymes need vitamins and minerals to work, and that's where I would focus. You don't necessarily need to be focusing on cacao flavonols. Then we have inflammation itself, which is causing endothelial dysfunction. So we have the master one is a nuclear factor kappa beta, but it's been activated by other inflammatory stuff like interleukin 6, interleukin 1, tumor necrosis factor alpha, which activate this one that causes endothelial dysfunction. Now, anything that causes inflammation is going to contribute to that. So it could be endotoxin, which is coming from the TL4 receptor activating that one. It could come from heavy metals. It could come from environmental pollutants, sleep apnea, having nutritional deficiencies, even stress, and all of this can cause the increase in inflammation, which then causes endothelial dysfunction. An easy way, the thing that I would focus on is a lot of people have gut issues, so you use a binder that's going to bind to endotoxin, it's going to bring inflammation down, something powerful like lactoferrin or even modified citrus pectin or white button mushroom. I have another video on that, so check my channel for that one. You have high sympathetic tone. So when you are under stress, usually your weenie shrinks. That's just what happens. You go in fight and flight, you're not going to be thinking about stress, right? So you go from a shower into a grower. It just shrinks. It's just what happens. It removes blood through the sexual organs. You do need some sympathetic activation for feeling and sensation, but an excessive amount is going to contribute to that performance anxiety, partial erections, erections going away quickly, because you're in a state that is then causing vasoconstriction. You can't get a proper erection. You can't properly get blood flow to where it's supposed to go. So everything that helps you to manage stress, like daily walking, maybe meditation, eating enough food, eating vitamins and minerals, consuming enough magnesium, getting sunlight, optimizing your sleep quality is going to help a lot to bring down the sympathetic tone. Then you also have weak methylation. Methylation is really important because if homocysteine starts to build up, it can cause vascular inflammation itself. It's been found that men with ED have significantly higher levels of homocysteine. So you want to make sure that your methylation is working. An easy way to do this is just to consume eggs, which contains phosphatidylcholine, which is helpful there. TMG or trimethylglycine, which directly supplies methyl donors to recycle homocysteine back into methionine. And then also, when it comes to methylation, homocysteine can be converted into cysteine, but you need vitamin B6 and a few other nutrients for that. Cysteine can be converted into taurine, it can be converted into hydrogen sulfide, and it can be converted into glutathione. So this is not all bad as long as this pathway is actually working. When I was consuming 5 liters of milk a day, this pathway was becoming significantly upregulated. My taurine shot through the roof, my glutathione increased, my cysteine, like this whole pathway significantly improved by consuming a lot of milk per day. Now, the reason why I mentioned the hydrogen sulfide, because hydrogen sulfide is another compound that contributes to vasodilation and helps with erections. A good way to increase hydrogen sulfide is to supplement taurine. But taurine is also really good for increasing nitric oxide. As you can see in this graph, nitric oxide synthase increased with taurine supplementation, and nitric oxide itself significantly improved. Because taurine doesn't just increase nitric oxide, it also spares nitric oxide. So if you've ever used taurine with GABA, you will have noticed significantly better erections, as well as better sleep quality. So this was just a quick run through of what exactly contributed with some simple tips of how to improve your erections and reset those pathways or solve those problems. If you want to read the full guide, the link is in the description below. It's on my Substack. Be sure to check that out. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something new. Cheers, guys.